one of the many exciting things about joining Liv was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta, it's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Liv.
1, 2, 3, 2, 1.
I feel like when there's this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
OMG, what did we just witness? Our first ever double playoff in Liv Golf history. I am so pumped up right now.
So much happened on the last 5 minutes. I mean, it looked like it was going to the crushers and Annie Barton winning, and all of a sudden then Abraham holding a chip, David Puig birdie Nate, then that little putt from Annie Barton on the last. I mean, it was great watching.
You know, it's really amazing to be able to do it in your home country, in front of my family, in front of so many friends, and on my favorite golf course. So it's obviously super nice.
Welcome back in Pro Football Today, talking NFC North. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Lisi. With the Vikings' quarterback confusion, it's not shared with the rest of this division. Clear-cut starters in Jared Goff, Jordan Love, and Caleb Williams. There, though, is plenty of room for debate of who's the best of this bunch. Caleb hasn't played a game, but his pedigree we know all too well. Jordan Love flashed brilliance last year, but left a little meat on the bone in that game against San Francisco. Same story ultimately happened with Jared Goff. Right now, Joe, as we sit here in July, is there a team in the North that you're really lining up?
It's Green Bay, and I was on them last year with you in regards to winning the NFC Championship. I'm on them to win the division, and I'm on them as a dark horse at 8-1 to win the NFC Championship. I believe in Jordan Love. We talked about his performance just around Thanksgiving to the end of the regular season into the playoffs. He averaged around 270 passing yards per game, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Did not run the football as much. He stayed in the pocket, went through his reads and progressions. And Donnie, he has a multitude of young wide receivers that he could develop with. I love what they did in regards to Josh Jacobs in the offseason. His addition will provide offensive balance. I think Green Bay is the best team in the division. Again, Detroit's the hunted now. We have to see how they act with the bullseye on their back. I like Jordan Love. I think they win it, guys.
Yeah, and as well as Detroit played last year, right? And like you take a look at their price point, like that plus 135 or so. They deserve to be the team that's supposed to be the lead dogs in the division from what they showed. But also, the Green Bay Packers were like a lightning bolt, man, that I didn't expect, getting that great quarterback play out of Jordan Love. And you expect him to take another leap this year if those young wide receivers can progress. And more importantly, just stay healthy for the kid. I love the fact that you got a true number one running back that can be a 3-down back out there in Jacobs. That was a surprise. They went after running back and paid that. So I like that they're surrounding the talent. Now, the question is going to be what we're getting out of the Packers, and did we see last year? And it's not a sophomore slump. Like, Jordan Love's been around the league a couple years now. It's not as if he was technically a rookie, but just a rookie and let me start and let me take over this franchise. But for my money, I look at the Detroit Lions and say to myself, we could be talking about the Super Bowl champion Detroit Lions if their coach did some simple things in the playoffs, like not, again, in the regular season, melt down at the end of football games like you saw against the Dallas Cowboys, or melt down in the playoffs and repeatedly go for, points that you didn't need and you should have just taken the points, I should say, at that point. We might be having a completely different discussion right now. I still like the Detroit Lions. I think they're the best team in this division, but I can't argue with anybody telling me, hey, Donnie, it's going to be the Packers here.
Could you argue with somebody that's telling you on the Chicago Bears?
Yes, I'm going to argue with that.
Well, the early look, and I mentioned this with the Texans last year, the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You can line up a schedule, it can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And again, I know we're early out, but let's just take a glance at those first 10 weeks. There's a bye in there, 9 games.
Mm-hmm.
Home against the Titans, at the Texans, at the Colts, home against the Rams, home against the Panthers. It's a international game against Jacksonville. That's got to be London. Bye week at Washington, at Arizona, home against New England. I'm not telling you they're going to win every single game they're projected to be favored in. But out of those 9 games, how many are they projected to be favored in? Tennessee, Carolina, Washington, Arizona, New England, at least. If not, the Rams game, the Jags game, it's all on the board. That's a lot of winnable football games that can get this team on the right step.
And there's a lot of weight on Caleb Williams' shoulders in year number 1. I might have to light a fire here. I'm going to tread lightly.
Boy.
But what was the big game Caleb Williams won in regards to his college career? I mean, go back to your Notre Dame Fighting Irish last year. 3 interceptions on the road. He struggled. In regards to games against Washington, even though he put up points, didn't pull those games out, struggled against Oregon, a top 10 team in defensive unit. So expecting Caleb Williams to be C.J. Stroud 2.0, I think is a huge ask. That doesn't mean he can't evolve into C.J. Stroud or even Jordan Love maybe in 2 or 3 seasons, but at least C.J. Stroud showed that to you in terms of college. He went toe-to-toe with the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs, put up 40-plus points on that team and lost by a field goal, right? I mean, it's a different ask, I think, Caleb, this year, what we saw C.J. Stroud. They developed the offense around them. I'm not buying into Matt Eberflus. Certainly he didn't do it with Justin Fields. And if they don't do it with Caleb Williams, they're going to have the exact same situation. Lame duck coach, new coach in year number 2, and they're going to be struggling to find wins.
Yeah, I think if there was one downtrodden part of the Chicago Bears, it's not the talent, because I really like the quarterback. I like the running game. We already stated the wide receivers are very good, and you have a guy that has some pedigree coming at one of Heisman where we're not worried about, like, oh, I wonder if he can throw the football in the NFL. I think he's going to be just fine. It is Matt Eberflus. Like, I honestly was very surprised they brought him back, knowing, and again, this was before the draft and before officially you knew it's going to be Caleb Williams. You probably could have taken a look at any number of coaches and just picked up the phone and said, what do you think about this? Would you like this job? And they would have jumped at the chance. Like, even like a Harbaugh going to Chicago, I was very surprised that they shut it down early and chose Eberflus. Having said that, I do have expectations for the Bears, and I do think sometimes it's unfair, because the number 1 pick in the draft last year was Bryce Young. He didn't do all that well, which, again, C.J. Stroud is masking a lot of the inefficiencies of quarterbacks and setting the table. It's almost like, Kevin, we look at the wide receiver position now, where when I was growing up, a wide receiver went number 1, 2, or 3. It's like, ooh, I wonder if he's going to be able to learn the playbook. That's no longer. These guys are getting 15-plus 100 yards on a season-to-season basis. So I do think the expectations, and rightfully so, for Caleb Williams are so high because C.J. Stroud set them, and if he doesn't live up to it, he's just not as good, when maybe that's unfair expectations even for a guy that won the Heisman.
So a few things there, just to answer your question. The first time he stepped in was the Red River rivalry and led an 18-point comeback. That's okay. Sure. Apparently everything involving Caleb or Lincoln from Oklahoma has been erased. With Matt Eberflus, the one thing that has been a little interesting is that he's been given all of the blame for Justin Fields. Matt Eberflus is a defensive coach. Now, I know that hiring a defensive coach is not popular on this desk.
Yeah.
It includes me.
Yeah.
The Bears turned the entire thing around last year because of their defense. So if they're going to have a, let's call it top 12 defense in football, which is easily what they had over the back end of the stretch, the quarterback play is an upgrade. I don't care what Justin did for 3 weeks. It just is an upgrade. The wide receiver room's an upgrade. They won 7 games. I'm not telling you guys have to be all in on the Chicago Bears, but I just think some of the questions feel a little misplaced to me.
No, you're right, but I feel like when I look at Eberflus, I feel he wants to win games 17-13 as opposed to trying to open up the playbook and just say, you know what? We don't need the defense because our offense is that good.
Right.
And I'm not saying it was that good under Justin. It's just that when Justin did have success in terms of those games, he immediately went back to the rushing attack because he felt the need to run the football. When he had leads, he did not want to open it up. He's got the Ferrari in Caleb. He's got the playmakers, but he also is a good defensive coach. And we saw it with Vic Fangio. We see it with Dennis Allen. They are so afraid of opening up the playbook because then they feel they put their defense at a disadvantage.
By the way, here's a question for you. Eberflus, he's in a tough spot here because if the team shows progress, what does that actually equate to? Like, if he doesn't make the playoffs this year with the rookie, he's gone. Exactly. That's my thought process. Like, it's almost like, yes, I'm coming back to a good situation because I have the good, but what is that next level? Is it they get 6 wins, he gets fired, they get 8, just missed the playoffs? Oh, well, okay, we'll bring him back?
But they had the first overall pick because they had the Panthers.
That's true,
pick.
yes.
They were a 7-10 football team.
Correct.
I don't think it's unfair expectations to say go make the playoffs in what a lot of people believe is a weaker conference as well. I don't. And if they don't, again, I mean, the context is always going to matter for the situation. But a 7-10 team that played their best football down the stretch, added Caleb Williams, you got to be in contention. You absolutely do. Now, the thing is, it's a difficult division.
Yeah.
Because the Lions and Packers are absolutely here to stay.
Yeah.
And we'll see how much wiggle room there ultimately is going to be. We move this over to the NFC South. We're talking about a lot of teams that if you put them in the South, they'd probably be the favorite. Someone's got to win the division. Who's it going to be? We'll try and answer that next.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Will they both make it? Yes. But it has more to do with the fact of the 3 teams that are not really good at all in Dallas, Washington, and the Sparks, and an Atlanta Dream Team without Ryan Howard that's spiraling out of control. If they can get those 2 teams, Indiana and Chicago, that's going to be a major boom for ratings.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. That's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here. It's SportsGrid's Pro Football Today. We move things over to the NFC South, which is a division with a minus money favorite. There are a few. The Niners and the Chiefs, the Eagles have found themselves progressing in that direction. And then the Atlanta Falcons, who didn't win this division last year, have changed coach, have changed quarterback. Joe, do you share the optimism that the books do that the Falcons are clearly the best team in the division?
No. It's not a knock on Raheem Morris. It's a knock on Kirk Cousins. Again, we're talking about how good is Aaron Rodgers going to look coming back from the Achilles tear. Well, Kirk Cousins has the same type of situation in Atlanta, right? And again, you do have playmakers there, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. But if Arthur Smith couldn't utilize them, are we sure that Raheem Morris and the offensive staff can utilize the weapons that they have? I'm not sure that their defense could take the next step. Again, I would buy into Tampa Bay before I would buy into Atlanta. I just can't buy into Kirk Cousins. He's never won a big game in his life.
Yeah, I don't need him to win a big game. Just need him to throw for a lot of yards. A little bit of a teaser right there coming up. But I do think the Atlanta Falcons are the best team in the division because they finally got the quarterback I believe you can trust. And yes, he is getting older and coming back off a devastating injury. I get that. But if he does start and play 17 games, I think they're the best team there because that offense should move the football. Now, getting to Tampa Bay, I think it's unfair to say, like, did we catch lightning in a bottle last year where everything just went right for the Buccaneers in that division and Baker Mayfield played well because why? He wanted to get himself a contract. But I have a feeling I just don't think that team meshes together all that well. And if Baker Mayfield has an average season, I don't think Tampa Bay is very good, which means he's got to be above average and play really well. Mike Evans, love the guy. Sooner or later, he's not going to catch 1,000 yards. You brought Godwin back. You still, I don't think, can run the football all that effectively here. You lost some pieces on that defense. I'm just not as high on Tampa Bay. And I don't want to, because it's hard to say, like, well, then I'm buying in on Atlanta. Yes, I think Atlanta wins the division, first round, gets busted out, even though they're probably going to have a home playoff game, obviously, if they win the division. It's not a great division from top to bottom, but I have to say, if I trust one side of the football in that entire division, it's going to be the Atlanta Falcons offense for me.
Kirk Cousins is 36 coming off a torn Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
Why does no one talk about
That's young. That's young now in the NFL. Is it? Now. Yeah, look at Aaron Rodgers. Ancient out there. He got a couple of years on the guy.
Well, but again, like Rodgers did the torn Achilles and then pretended he was going to come back. I don't know. The whole thing was totally bizarre. Look, I know Kirk's always been able to consistently put up numbers. Minnesota did also put up a lot of numbers in his absence as well.
Yeah.
I know that people are excited about the Falcons' weapons. We'll see how Raheem Morris is. I find the pricing to be ridiculous, though. I'm not saying they can't be the favorites, but even if you look at what we just talked about with the NFC North, where you have a favorite status on Detroit, but again, the separation is not by as much. Tampa is an obvious one who won the division last year and returned a lot of the key pieces. The New Orleans number is completely unjustifiable. The Saints went 9-8 last year. Everything went wrong. And they were the clear-cut favorites last year. See, this is what I try and talk about, though. But a lot of people just base off, well, what did I see last? And they kind of, Men in Black, erase a lot of information from their mind. The New Orleans Saints were the favorites, finished with the best record in the division, and are now plus 350 to win the division. That's crazy.
No, it is crazy if you're basing it, again, off of talent. And I do believe, honestly, that Dennis Allen's like Eberflus. I think he's dead man walking. I thought he lost the locker room towards the end of the regular season. Again, there were reports in New Orleans that players didn't want to play for him. The offense, again, could move the football between the 30s, had major red zone problems and issues with Derek Carr. Again, did not utilize the playmakers that they had correctly. Alvin Kamara was non-existent once he came back to that offense. Again, I understand they're plus 350, but they're there for a reason. I mean, do you believe they're going to take off from 9-8 and elevate to 11 or 12 wins under Dennis Allen, or do you think they're going to regress? I'm going to take the shot that they're going to regress. To Donnie's point about Tampa, they've won the division the last 3 years. And again, you know, you look at Dave Canales that now is the head coach of Carolina. Does he get most of the success about Baker Mayfield's development? Because we talk about Jordan Love being one of the hottest quarterbacks at the end of the regular season. Baker Mayfield averaged 289 passing yards per game. They won 6 of the last 7 games. Rashad White came on, not just running the football, but catching it out of the backfield. The defense bounced back under Todd Bowles. And I never loved Todd Bowles, but You got to. I mean, they won the division the last 3 years. I mean, right here, right now, would be on Tampa for me.
Like, if you look at the, obviously, 4 teams in the division, we'll get to the Carolina Panthers, and you don't need to spend a lot of time on them right now. But the first 3 teams, the Falcons, the Buccaneers, and the Saints, we're going to have the same type of year we did last year.
I know.
Nobody's running away from it, and it's going to be like, hey, this is the time where the NFL should step in and take away the automatic division win because this team isn't that good. You might even get that by the end of the season because, quite honestly, what's going to win this division? Like 10 games seals it for me. 9 might get it done this year.
Well, think about the game that we watched, Saints and Rams. Was that a Thursday night, Monday night? They didn't step. They got blown out of the park there.
Can I just say something?
Dad.
And this,
Come on.
And he knows.
I mean, worse.
No. Because you should be more familiar with this. Remember the year the Commanders won the division?
Yeah.
At 7-9, and everybody went NFC least. And then the next year, everybody's like, man, I got to tell you, I don't know if anybody's ever going to be good in this division. And then they sent multiple teams to the playoffs. They had multiple teams over 500 in the South last year.
Stink.
This. It's just wrong. Like, it's just a lot of this. It's just copy paste, and it's misguided. The idea that this is going to, I'll take over. Like, if you want,
Over
this
what?
idea, that one team will win, there'll be one double-digit win team.
I'm going 1 double-digit win team here. I'm going 1.
But you think they'll be under it. You don't think there'll be any double-digit win team.
Like 10 seals it. I think like 9 probably gets it
I
done.
think he's right, though. It's a black and blue division. Put it this, but it is. They beat each other up. They beat each other up.
Yeah.
I mean, New Orleans went into Tampa Bay, right? They got that win right at the end of the regular season that kept their hopes alive in regards to a division title. And then when Dennis Allen really needed to win, he fell off a cliff. It's the same thing. Are you buying into Derek Carr? When you think of the quarterbacks, you believe into Kirk Cousins. I don't.
I'm sorry.
I did.
You don't see the irony in being like, last year I bought into Derek Carr, the favorite in the division. You got smashed in the face, and now you're walking up to the window.
He showed me
Kirk
his
Cousins.
hand right here, and there was nothing in it.
Pick
a hand. Nothing.
Now.
Pick
Now
the other
you got
hand.
him
Nothing.
crazy.
I lose. Yeah, that's what I got on the same.
I don't
That's what I got on the
just
same.
keep touching
Like
the
a shell
same
game.
stove.
Like a shell game last year.
Keep touching the same
whammies.
stove.
No
it's
whammies.
a full Panthers breakdown next. Full Panthers.
The WNBA is a unique market, right? It moves a little bit different. You take a bet, a limit play, even if the limit is 2 dimes on a side, you don't go from 11.5 to 12. You know what I mean? You got to go. Because if they bet you the second number, then you go, oh boy, now we have a decision that we really didn't think we got a big decision. Books love decisions.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Like cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this cricket stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
DeMar DeRozan now joins that team in Sacramento with the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Devin Carter, who they drafted early, Keegan Murray as well. A Kings team, DRS, that has been a playoff contender.
Is it going to equate to a championship? Probably not. That's not the goal. Make your team better every offseason. The Kings definitely got better with that move here, Ben.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with It's Pro Football Today, and we haven't talked any Panthers yet. And I know that they aren't the most exciting team in the world, but they do have Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick from a year ago, heading into his sophomore season, and the expectations could not be lower. At 5.5, it's again, it's as low as it gets. The win total was higher last year. There were far more expectations that Bryce Young's talent and everybody's favorite coach, Frank Reich, would do a whole lot of good with this team, and Frank Reich was fired
Railroaded.
in season. They
got railroaded. That's all I could say, man.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Guy
got railroaded.
He was 0-8. He couldn't cover a
Let me tell you something.
14.5-point
coaches that
spread
team
against
this year, they got
Miami.
11 games.
What a 14-point
They got
lead.
11 wins
Don't
this year.
start.
One of the best coaches in the NFL got done
gutless.
dirty.
God.
Done dirty, Kevin.
He's so bad. Frank Reich, truly just an all-time fraud. Nevertheless, I mean, how many times was that guy spotted a billion points and couldn't cover? It's so great point by Joe. But look, a 2-15 team, a lot of this comes down to, do you still have any faith in Bryce Young?
I do, and I need to see it in the first month of the regular season. I will say I know a lot of people aren't high on Dave Canales, but this might be like an under-the-radar type of hiring where it elevates Bryce Young's play. I talked about the progression of Baker Mayfield over the last 7 games of the regular season. He found ways to out-game plan the Philadelphia Eagles and certain playmakers that stepped up. Canales is a pretty good offensive coordinator, and I think he could put Bryce Young in terms of an offensive scheme to at least elevate his play. He had a 22 touchdown total last year, Bryce Young, one of the highest of all the rookie quarterbacks. And again, we talk about putting the round peg into the square hole. Frank Reich wanted it his way with his offensive scheme, and he didn't care about the progression of Bryce Young. Again, do they get to 5 or 6 wins? I don't know if they get there. I can tell you, I believe that Bryce Young will elevate his game to at least show and duplicate, that he is worthy of a first round and top, draft pick in the NFL. If not, they got to move on. But I like them. I'm coming out on a limb. I've talked about it already. Love them plus the 5 against Dennis Allen and the Saints week 1.
Yeah,
best bet already.
It's going to be a tough season for Carolina, but I think the one thing you can take out of what Joe was saying is don't buy into the Panthers as a team. There's a lot of talent at that quarterback position that didn't show itself last year. It was just a train wreck. Dave Canales, say what you want, Baker Mayfield was a reclamation project, did wonders. We're not saying that's going to translate because they don't have Mike Evans and Godwin and that same type of offensive infrastructure, but what they do have are a few playmakers. You get Brooks at tailback here, much better than a Miles Sanders who basically quit on you once he got his paycheck last year. You also have Deontay Johnson you get over from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, he dropped some passes. Yes, that's a 1,000-yard wide receiver. Adam Thielen, the consummate professional, will be wide open on third downs, your best friend as a quarterback, which quite frankly last year was his best friend, and then Mingo on the outside. So if you take a look, we had that graphic pop up there. I think it was about 3,200 yards for him on the season, talking about Bryce Young and the touchdown passes at 17.5. I'm buying both of those to the over because if I don't think they're going to be good and they win 5 games, you know what that means? They're losing a lot. And the only thing you can grade this team on, if you're from management down to fans, did Bryce Young show us anything this year to be a franchise guy? If he can't throw for 3,200 yards or 18 touchdowns, he's not your guy. Because if they're going to be losing, there's no, hey, look, I stepped into a situation that didn't work out. I was a rookie in the NFL. You're not a rookie anymore. You have a whole offseason and better weapons to deal with. I'm buying on him this year.
I really like Bryce Young, and they've put more pieces with Deontay Johnson and then drafting Xavier Legette. But also, what you just said, they were awful and trailing. He started 16 games. He threw for less than 200 yards in 11 of them. He had one 300-yard game. It was the only time he went over 250 yards in a game. He threw 11 touchdowns. He had 2 games all year where he had multiple touchdown passes. I mean, it was as bad as it could possibly get for someone that started all year long. So, and again, did they give him that much more? Right? Caleb's entering into Chicago with significantly more than Bryce has going into this year, right? Jaden has way more in Washington.
They have much more consistent wide receivers than they did last year. When Adam Thielen is your number 1, he's a third down guy like
he's
that.
the number 2 now to Deontay Johnson.
They got Mingo, they got Deontay, they got Legette. They still have Terrace Marshall there.
Legette, the 7th wide receiver drafted.
He's a big body, though. He's a big body.
It's true. It's true.
I just...
Big body.
I just don't know if, again, he's been given.
Yeah, but he
enough.
doesn't. Look, get the calculator out. What's 3,200 yards for 17 games?
Minuscule. I'll tell you this,
200.
over 300 away from where he got last year.
But still, but I just think like you have that whole year in the offseason where you can settle down, new regime.
He
Like,
should
I
get
like
over it if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disagree.
Touchdown
with you.
pass.
It was bad. The NFC West remains. It's the Niners division, according to the odds.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed. Right, I've been able to play events in Spain.
Here in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta. It's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50 years old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
4, 3, 2, 1.
I feel like when there's this wind in this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
OMG, what did we just witness? Our first ever double playoff in Live Golf history. I am so pumped up right now.
So much happened on the last 5 minutes. I mean, it looked like it was going to the crushers and Annie Barton winning, and all of a sudden then Abraham holding a chip, David Puig birdie eight, then that little putt from Annie Barton on the last. I mean, it was great watching.
You know, it's really amazing to be able to do it in your home country, in front of my family, in front of so many friends, and on my favorite golf course. So it's obviously super nice.
NFC West time here on Pro Football Today, and the question is, can anyone challenge the San Francisco 49ers? But for the Niners, they have some very real and odd questions in that room. Brock Purdy was a legitimate MVP candidate. They went all the way to the Super Bowl. They lost. And usually when those things are true, you go, hey, look, man, we got the foundation. We just got to crack through. Instead, there are still people who are not sure if Brock Purdy's all that good, and there are still people who are not sure if Kyle Shanahan can ultimately be trusted. I mean, it is a bizarre mix that they have in San Francisco, and at least once in offseason, one of their key players is liking Instagram posts or Twitter or deleting stuff that suggests there are problems. So I think we start this off, Lisi, with the Niners at the big level. Co-Super Bowl favorites. Could you see this being their year?
No. I mean, I think they're deserving of the price, but again, I have a lot of question marks as well. And when you lose the Super Bowl the way they did when they had the Kansas City Chiefs dead and buried, you're expected to close that game out. And again, the questions surrounding Brock Purdy, but more importantly, the head coach Kyle Shanahan. What's that mindset heading into the offseason? Brandon Ayuk is not happy. On paper, everything points to them running away with the NFC Championship, but I'm not betting them right here, right now. Again, I believe LA has closed the gap. Can they challenge? We'll see. I believe as long as Stafford's healthy, they have a shot in regards to the playmakers that they added on the defensive side of the ball in the draft. But again, on paper, the books have it right. San Francisco is deserving, but there's question marks. And what is the continuity of that locker room, Donnie?
Yeah, 2 years ago, we take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles getting to the Super Bowl, primary a healthy team. You got to win it because you know free agency's coming up and you can never guarantee the following season. They lost that. The Eagles didn't get back there. You take a look at last year. Didn't everything seem to work out right? The Philadelphia Eagles collapsed at the end of the season. And if you remember, Christian McCaffrey went down late in the season with a calf injury, but they had everything wrapped up. They could rest him 3 weeks. What happens if the Eagles pressed them into playing into that final week of the season where they needed to win, how things could have been differently here? You look at the roster. It's fantastic. It's great wide receivers. You draft Pearsall here. It could be an electric playmaker as that number 3 guy. You take a look at George Kittle, maybe the best tight end in football, who was banged up last year, had a little bit of an ailment in the offseason, but looks to be good to go. A solid offensive line that has a couple key pieces who are superstars. And then there's Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. You handed him the football, felt like, guys, 35 times a game, and he didn't get injured until it actually didn't matter late in the season. Is that going to be able to hold up? What happens if Christian McCaffrey goes down this year and has to miss 3 to 4 weeks in the middle of the season? What happens if Brandon Ayuk goes, you know what, I don't want to be here anymore. Trade me to Cleveland or wherever at this point, and you get back a draft pick, so now it's all on Deebo Samuel to be your consummate wideout. Everything works perfectly for the 49ers when it's in rhythm here, but I do think you guys are bringing up some really good situations. There's something off with Kyle Shanahan in the biggest moments. Like, why doesn't it work? How can you have double-digit leads repeatedly in Super Bowls and not come away with the victory? And I'll tell you this right now. My favorite play caller in the NFL, it's Kyle Shanahan. Why doesn't it work in the Super Bowls or the big moments?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. Listen, we're a very, very honest bunch, and we kind of, I know certainly I do, wear my emotions on my sleeve. I cannot talk about this Super Bowl. This one somehow bothers me more than the Eagles game because, like, Mahomes ultimately turned it on, right? And I guess maybe some of the bets went well. The bets didn't go well here with this Chiefs-Niners game, but it's the fact that in the analysis, I was like, well, I know I'm going to get a 10-point lead. I have to trust he can close the door.
Yeah.
And they got the 10-point lead and, again, didn't close the door. I mean, it's just unimaginable. And it's why I'll be honest, the Mahomes talk makes me sick to my stomach because it just removes the context of the Niners collapsing. And not for the first time. And I'd rather just throw this back to you, Donnie, because you can speak to it because you were far more invested and aware of it as it played out. But Andy Reid, I think, is the appropriate kind of talking point of everybody knows he was incredible at Philly.
Yeah.
But at some point they had to move on. It's worked out for the Eagles. They won their Super Bowl. It's obviously worked out for Big Red. Are there comparison points? And is there a world the Niners are going to have to potentially look at Kyle Shanahan, who we mostly all think, is a top 5 coach and go, you're not going to get the job done here?
It was a minor upset in Philadelphia because me being a lifelong Eagles fan, we never thought Andy Reid was ever going to leave. And rightfully so. He said, well, the guy wins every year. He just says when the Super Bowl, eventually will break through. And some people have revisionist history and go, boy, if he just stayed in Philadelphia, he'd have Patrick Mahomes and look what they'd be doing. No, he wouldn't have changed his ways at all. The reason why he went to Kansas City, started taking risk here, starting taking different players with a little bit of a questionable history, which he did in Philadelphia because you knew he was ready to win. I don't think Kyle Shanahan knows going to, because honestly, like, who are you going to get? Like, Andy Reid was a free agent for 1 second in Kansas City. He's like, we'll take that guy as our head coach. We don't need to interview anybody. He's the next guy. Same thing with Kyle Shanahan. I still love him as a coach, but there is something to it. It's not as if, Joe, they're getting to the big game. Like, man, we keep finding ourselves down 17 points. We can't get out of our own way. They're the better team repeatedly and can't win.
Do the players buy in? That is going to be another question, right? When they get into that locker room and they're, let's say, 14-3, playoff comes around and they have a tough game, are the players going to buy in? Outside of Brock Purdy, I'm talking about the veterans, Deebo, and if Ayuk is there, are they going to believe? We know that he can game plan better than anybody and put his playmakers in a position to win and execute, but for some reason they can't get over the hump. It might be best for both parties if they don't win it this year to move on.
It's so bizarre. You're like, oh, if they're 14-3. Like, the expectations were all like, yeah, they're going to win 14 games. Yeah. It's the inverse of the Chiefs stuff, right?
In a perfect world, they're going to win, meaning barring any major injury.
Right, but, like, again, if they don't win double-digit games, it would be stunning because, again, most people believe that they could lose Brock Purdy and still win double-digit games. So, but what's also bizarre is the run to the Super Bowl. They did the opposite of what usually the expectations is. They trailed and had to pull off big-time comebacks.
So again, that's what gave me so much confidence going into that Super Bowl is they had checked that box. Is we win when we're in front, and now we can pull off a comeback. And again, just at the big stage, it fell apart. So that's kind of the question is, if the Niners lose in the NFC Championship game, right? Do you just go, pick yourselves up and I don't know. Is anything other than a Super Bowl? It's going to feel like a massive failure, I think, for this ball club.
Absolutely. Yes, it's almost like the Bills, right? The longer you get there, it's like ripping the Band-Aid off every single time. Every time you take a huge loss, especially in terms of a title championship or a Super Bowl, that weighs on you emotionally. It takes that much longer in the offseason to get intense and to have that killer instinct to be knowing that you're going to get everybody's best shot. That is the biggest thing, is that there are no gimmies anymore. You know, you have teams in the division, like I mentioned. I believe LA's closed the gap. You know, you have a Super Bowl winning coach and quarterback that are coming back for a second run. You have Arizona with Kyler that hopefully is improved, and Gannon did a great job in terms of game plan, and McDonald over in Seattle. So there's no gimmies in the division either. You're going to get everybody's best shot. Are they up to it? And more importantly, is the coach up to it to motivate his team? That's the hugest, and that's the biggest question they have to answer in the offseason.
Yeah, that's a Super Bowl layover, right, that you have, where it's like, man, we were so close once again. We had to go through an entire season, catch lightning in a bottle, catch our health, win our football games. And as Joe points out, and he's right, the division is better than what it was last year. You don't have that bottom feeder in Arizona that you're going to laugh at. They're probably more competitive here. I like what I see out of the at least wide receiving trio, the ground game that you have in Seattle. They might be able to be competitive. And also, you're right about the Rams. Better for me this year than they were last year. And the Kyron Williams might be able to control that ground game. And also, those two coaches love to go after each other. So you see that minus 195 price for the 49ers, and it's warranted. But everything has to go your way to make back to the Super Bowl. It went their way the past couple of years. I don't know if it does this year.
Yeah, I think it's a point well taken. A team that is favored to win the NFC with a lot more distance than we saw last year. So if you are willing to bet against that ball club, there's some juice. If you're willing to bet against them in the division as well. We're talking Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals as well. What does this season look like for Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., the superstar rookie out of Ohio State? We look to break it all down next, right here on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It is Canada. You know, Canada is one of those teams that's the darling of the tournament right now. They're still 9-1.
To win a tournament, or even to advance far into a tournament like this, you need a bit of good fortune. And it doesn't matter if you're getting the good fortune that Canada has, where they played 2 matches where they were up a man, or you had the good fortune of Argentina, who's one of the best teams in the world, who just got on the good side of the draw.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Watch out for USA and Canada in 4 years. Like cricket's going to be a sport that's growing.
I made my first cricket bet last week or over the weekend. I was getting a team that was leading like 150 to 5 plus odds. I'm like, I'm up 150 points and I'm getting plus odds. Where do I sign? I love this freaking stuff. What are you kidding me?
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
All right, NFC West, our final chance to talk through the whole league. There's only 3 teams left on the docket, and then we're going to give you an early look best bet here. All 3 of us have a little bit of juice here. I want to just start at the bottom just because we're at danger of glancing over Arizona. Lisi, this is a team last year that I know you were envisioning being horrific. They were just a tick better than as bad as you need them to be at 4-13. A 6.5 win total this season.
And I think they could get there because of their head coach Gannon and because of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray being healthy. I was down on Gannon. I didn't think he'd be, hit the ground running, but he proved he's a great game planner. The players were motivated. They challenged from the ATS perspective. They beat Dallas as a double-digit underdog, challenged the New York Giants, had a huge first-half lead, and that was with a journeyman Josh Dobbs at quarterback. So, again, I think the defense could take the next step. Can they be a 9 or a 10-win football team? No. But, Donnie, I think they could be right there challenging Seattle for potentially third-best team in the division.
Now, what's their team total, did we say?
6.5.
Yes, they're going to get there. They will. And, again, sometimes you can't guarantee that. They're not a great football team. But if you tell me Kyler Murray is going to be healthy, and, again, this is what's always predicated on. If he's healthy for the majority of the season, they're going to get 7 wins. He's a good enough quarterback to do that. Marvin Harrison Jr. should be able to step in and be certainly a very good wide receiver there. You got Dortch and Wilson still there. You got Connor, who's an absolutely amazing running back when he gets full. And the Philadelphia Eagles know that moving forward late in the season, just giving it up in that game. By the way, did you have a best bet in that game?
I did. I had the Eagles. I should have taken them first half.
14-3, what was it?
It was an 18-point lead before they had with the pick 6. They beat the Cowboys and the Eagles last year as double-digit dogs outright.
Yeah, and just looking at the Cardinals themselves, I do think they'll be competitive next year, taking another step. Enough to win the division? Absolutely not. But 7 wins, 7-10 with Kyler Murray, they should be able to get that done here, Kevin.
It's still tough to tell because Kyler came back, and I mean, my goodness, I think maybe I don't know if it was exactly the week before, but the Clayton Tune start in Cleveland was abysmal. But Kyler was not out of this world. He was better, right? He wasn't the MVP guy that we had once seen, so I still feel the book is out on Kyler Murray. I don't know, 6.5 just feels high relative to some of the other stuff that we've discussed here. If you want me to, should we talk Denver 5.5? I still don't really understand.
Yep.
So then we get over to a Rams team, which is the complete, it kind of just this 180. Preseason expectations couldn't have been lower, and Matt Stafford stayed healthy. That's really the key to it. They smashed through them. And now you have buy-in in the market. And, Joe, I know you're one of the people.
I'm very high on them. I think that not only potentially with a great season, they challenge San Francisco, but I think they could be a dark horse at 14-1 to win the NFC this year. I was on Green Bay and L.A. at the end of the regular season, and nothing has changed in terms of my off-season assessment. I believe in Matt Stafford. I believe in the rushing attack of Kyren Williams. You bring in Blake Corum, the dynamic running back from Michigan that could spell carries for Kyren down the stretch. Defensively, they had Jared Verse and Fisk, 2 dominant front 7 players from Florida State, an undefeated team. That'll make up for the loss of Aaron Donald. They went toe-to-toe with Detroit at the end of the regular season and in the playoffs. I mean, nothing has changed in terms of L.A. potentially being an 11 or a 12-win football team. Puka Nacua, as long as Cooper Kupp is healthy. I mean, what am I missing? Why we're tacking an 8.5 on Sean McVay all of a sudden? He's one of the best offensive minds along with Kyle Shanahan. Why 8.5? They made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, it feels that the only person that can stop this team is like Kelly Stafford going on more and more podcasts here, just spilling the beans on that locker room like he continuously likes to do. Hey, Matthew Stafford doesn't like the young guys. Hey, you know what? To get him motivated, I'm going to date his backup quarterback in college here to get him to notice me. Outside of this team is really good on offense. You have one of the best play callers in football calling plays in Sean McVay. Seems like a reinvigorated Matthew Stafford that was healthy last year with all those neck worries to worry about. Puka Nacua, look how good he was last year. What happens if he's even better this year? And you have a fully healthy Cooper Kupp for the remaining parts of the season. I like where they're going on offense. Is it enough to win the division against the 49ers? They'll battle. I honestly believe that. This is a playoff team. The Rams will be in the playoffs next year. Once again, as we always say, barring health, I like what I see.
But see, this is where I don't know. So I know I feel like I'm playing the antagonist with this stuff. But the idea on the Rams last year was they're going to be bad. You can't trust Matt Stafford to stay healthy. He stayed healthy, and everyone, oh, my gosh, this is incredible. And then we're going to go into this year, and everyone's going to bet these numbers, and then he's going to get hurt in week 4, and we're like, well, what do you think was going to happen?
Yeah, but it's really the degenerative neck issue. It's like, hey, man, we heard this story before. It never works out, but it actually worked out last year. Like, he actually played good football. So we don't have, or at least myself, I don't have that same worry going like, any given moment he can get knocked out of football for good. We've always, like Matthew Stafford, as tough as nails back in Detroit, taking a beating and keeps playing. I just like what I see there, and I do think it's not a bounce-back season. He's a good quarterback and was very good last year. I'm just buying into them a little bit more on offense based on the fact that if Kupp and Nakua are right this year, they're going to move the football, man.
Which, all right, so again, last year, that's how exactly I felt while their win total was 5.5. But, you know, like, I'm very...
I thought they were selling their whole team last year before the season.
Which I thought
really
was fair.
Yeah.
That was there was a real... By the way, Aaron Donald retired. You know, like, I don't know, there's going to be nobody remembers that. There will be a moment in the middle of the week 1 game where they go, by the way, it's tough without Donald. People are like, what? I bet the Rams? I didn't know Donald wasn't on this football team. Let me make sure we get to Seattle. Because, again, we haven't left any team off the table here. No, I don't know. Now, this is the one team I throw my hands up. I got no idea.
Lisi squad.
I know that you've been, hot on Pete Carroll needing to leave. Well, Pete Carroll's out the door.
Yeah.
Gino's back. It was great one year. It wasn't so great the next. Metcalf, Lockett are stars. You're out?
It's a fire sale. Sell. I'm saying. Again, defensive-minded coach. He's a great defensive coordinator. Yeah. Can he elevate to become a dominant head coach? I need to see it before I believe it. And again, I think that Geno Smith has regressed back to the pack. He is what he is. You know, again, I thought everybody was selling Pete Carroll because of Russell Wilson, and that's why 2 years ago I bought them at 5.5 when everybody else was selling. Then everybody jumped back in. They regressed. They're a 500 team at best, but sold.
The skill positions are very good. You know where you're going to get your head beat in this year? Is that offensive line is really bad in Seattle. Good luck, Gino, out there. They'll win their games, and they'll be fun to bet some wide receiver props, but outside of that, I'm out on them.
7.5 is the win total. Playoffs the year before. They're certainly an odd one. We'll do some best bets. We'll close it out. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, Joe Lisi. We'll be right back.
One of the many exciting things about joining Live was being able to come here and play in front of a Spanish crowd, especially on a level of event and level of competition that I hadn't really yet enjoyed, right? I've been able to play events in Spain.
We are in the beautiful Valderrama, which some say is the European Augusta. It's so special. There's so much history here. There's so much Spanish history here.
Well, it has so much history behind. It's only a 50-year-old club, but so much has happened through the years. I mean, we had the Ryder Cup, we had World Gold Championships, and now we have Live.
It's very exciting, and really, if there was ever a place to get my first win, I feel like this would be the perfect week.
I feel like when this windy, this golf course is so difficult that it's equally stressful no matter when or where you're playing it. But it was fun. It's always fun to be back home and be with the home crowd. It's always a joy to have this many people supporting me all day. It's so much fun.
What the heck course were you playing today?
I don't know.
It's brutal out there.
It is brutal. I don't know. I just made everything I looked at, Jerry. You have those days. I suppose this is one of those days for me, so I really shouldn't. I really enjoyed it. Every time I stood over a putt, just felt like I could make it, and you don't get days like that too often, or certainly I don't. So yeah, I relished in it, and I managed to hit a lot of good shots as well. So it was a special day.
Pro Football Today. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, Joe Lisi. The next time you see us, I actually don't want to guess. I think it will be week 1, but who knows? Maybe we'll pop back around before that. We're going to close it out with some season-long best bets, perhaps a win total, perhaps a player prop. And, Donnie, you're up first.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at a quarterback that's changing teams, but I don't think the conditions are going to change all that much, fellas. That's Kirk Cousins. The one thing we do know, coming off an injury, that's always tough, an aging quarterback. But in this day and age, 36, that's the new 26 right now in the NFL. A team that you look at has wide receivers, running backs, and particularly very good pass-catching running backs, I should say. If I'm looking at Kirk Cousins, say he's going over 3,800.5 yards on the season. If we expect him to play 17 games as I do, 223 yards here is what he needs to average per game. And if we take a look at his history here, 7 of the past 8 seasons, if we remove last year due to being injured, he's hit that 3,800 number. The only one he missed, he got about 3,600 yards. Kirk Cousins should play all 17 games this year in a dome and should be productive. 223 a game, sign me up.
Wow, the human compiler, right? There he is.
I mean,
Kirk Cousins. I like the
sold everybody. Just sold everybody.
Big year
That's
for
now your
Drake
best
London
bet
and Kyle Pitts.
Well,
Wow.
wait, off-season Donnie, full of research and
Wow.
notes. I'm blown
You're
away.
shy. You're blowing his mind over here.
Incredible. Wow. I was thinking about slandering the pick and said I love it. Great breakdown.
All right, so, wow.
Were you ready to go?
I was
All
ready
right,
to
there
go.
you go.
You got me all hot. You
Yep.
got me all hot. We talked about it in terms of last segment, NFC West. I love the over 8.5 for Matt Stafford and Sean McVay. I think they blow right through this number. 10, 11-win football team at the very least. As long as Stafford's healthy, I think they could challenge the San Francisco 49ers. It's minus 144 to the over, minus 102, guys, to make the playoffs. I think there's no doubt the L.A. Rams are a sleeper in the NFC.
Do you prefer the win total or the playoff?
I mean, I would take the playoff because of the minus 102, and I also have them at 14-1 as a dark horse to win the conference.
All right, there you go. Lined up. Donnie, any quick thoughts on that?
I do like it. I think the Rams will be a contender. I don't know if I win total or playoffs. I do think they're going to be a playoff team, whether or not that equates to the exact amount of wins. Either one or the other. I like it, though.
All right, fair enough. For me, it's something that I've kind of been talking about in the build-up here. But I really think Hollywood Brown has a true chance to lead the Kansas City Chiefs in receiving this season. So I have to like him over 750.5 for the full year. Rashee Rice, good luck. I don't know. Someone else can figure it out. I'm not as worried about Xavier Worthy. I get it, first-round pick. But Hollywood Brown is a known speedster, first-round pedigree. And Hollywood Brown's situations have obviously never been as good as the one he's about to enter. Lamar, not known as a pure passer. The Arizona stuff was up and down, but he still had multiple seasons through this number, including a 1,000-yard season under his belt. I think Hollywood Brown can break through this number and put up 1,000 yards in KC.
He might put up 1,500. I tell you, I might bet on him to potentially lead the NFL in receiving.
He's going to double it for you.
If we know about Hollywood Brown in regards to Kyler Murray and the Arizona offense, right? Inconsistent. Murray was hurt. Now you have the best quarterback in football. 3 Super Bowl championships. Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy in a rushing attack. Who's to say he can't be Tyreek Hill 2.0?
By the way, take a look at Andy Reid with speedsters. Deshaun Jackson in Philadelphia was an also mega shot downfield. You take a look at Tyreek Hill. Now he gets another true speedster out there. Should be wide open for some big plays.
Health, though, as always, with these season-long numbers is a very big part of it. I don't think it would be misguided to bring up a number that we all kind of found together throughout our 3 hours. The Jaden Daniels 525 and a half season-long number. I mean, it really just feels like an over-under of games played. And everybody knows he's starting week 1. That's the thing. That's not a number where you're like, hey, are they thinking that maybe somebody else comes in for the starting job? It's all Jaden Daniels.
You really believe Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this draft?
No.
You're buying in.
He's gonna be.
It took him how many years? A year and a half,
telling you,
Donnie.
alternate best bet
he
right
loves
now.
Jaden Daniels,
Over
rookie
50
of the year.
yards rushing for Jaden Daniels.
I'll tell you my alternate real best bet: Denver Broncos over 5.5 wins. Come on now, let's start
Selling
the band
that team.
up here.
Sell off.
Mike, it's lower than the Giants.
It's like Walmart prices. Whoop,
Sean Payton
falling
going to
down.
drive that bus right into the dirt.
Fair enough. That'll do it for Pro Football today. Joe Lisi, Donnie Rightside, Kevin Walsh, a 3-hour special here as we hope you've enjoyed your 4th of July weekend. And again, the next time you potentially see us, never say never with the grid, it could be week 1. And Lisi will be lining up the Panthers against the Saints for a best bet. Cannot wait. We will see you then.